And in this chapter, we have written about 3 Swedish hospitals and regions, and these all have installed some kind of renewable energy solutions at their hospital facilities. So I will just present these 3 examples. And if you want to know more about this or the hospitals, you can just contact us, or you can also, of course, read the report. We published it on our website yesterday, so you can find it there. The first example is region Västra Götaland in Sweden. This region has adopted a solar power plan in 2014, which says that by the year 2030, the region will install solar cells with a capacity of 3,000 megawatt hours per year. In the report, we write about 2 specific hospitals in the region, as you can see below, Skaraborg Hospital and Norra Älvsborg County Hospital. At Skaraborg, they have installed a solar cell plant, but they have also installed energy efficient windows, walls and ceilings. And the building uses a quarter as much energy as an average hospital building. At Norra Älvsborg Hospital, they have installed the largest solar cell plant in the region with around 4,500 panels. And they have combined this with electricity from the local energy network. So we will just quickly move on to the next example, which is region Skåne in Sweden. Since 2009, they have only purchased an eco-labeled electricity that, among other things, guarantees that all electricity comes from renewable sources. And the region owns 6 wind turbines and of its own, and also has solar cell plants in 7 hospitals around the region. The Forensic Psychiatric Center in Trelleborg, we have actually written about this in one previous report as well, but this is a very good example and a pretty unique example. So I think you should read a bit more about this in the report as well. But it was actually built as a passive and plus energy house, which means that the building has the capacity to produce more energy than it consumes. They have wind turbines on site, solar cells and solar heat collectors on the roof that produces electricity and hot water. And any overproduction from the wind turbine and solar cells is sold back to the grid. And the last example from this report is region Jönköping in Sweden. And since 2019, they have installed more than 19,000 square meters of solar panels on the roofs of the county's properties. And these are expected to produce about 3,000 megawatt hours of electricity that corresponds to 7% of the region's total needs. And that was just a very quick presentation of the examples from this report. And like I said, you can all read it on our website. And if you want more information about these specific examples, please don't hesitate to contact us. And we will make sure you get in contact with the right person. So I will hand over to my colleague Johannes now, who will tell you a little bit more about the project that we are working in with this report. So thank you and welcome, Johannes.
Thank you, Sofia. Yes, I will give you a short background to why we are doing these reports. My name is Johannes Brundin, and I'm co-founder to Nordic Center for Sustainable Healthcare and also Energy and Climate Manager. We are very proud to be one of 2 platforms for internationalization that is financed by the Swedish Energy Agency, where they find great potential for innovative solutions to reach an international market. And what we do to achieve that is that we are arranging delegations to different countries where we collaborate with our international partners. We do also make study visits at hospitals to have a look at different solutions, both in Sweden and abroad. And now during the pandemic, we also doing more webinars online. And the last week we had one with Yale University, where they want to talk about sustainability with the healthcare sector in the United States. We are also producing reports and publications on, specifically on the benchmarking and market research for energy efficiency, among all our other topics that we are looking at. And when we hit the pandemic here, we noticed that we need to find new ways to reach out with innovations and communicate. So that's why we started this report series that we call Nordic Know-How. And the purpose is to showcase the best practices from Nordic hospitals. And it's focusing on technologies that are available today. So there's no futuristic things. Everything is used and tested by the hospitals. And there is always reference installations at hospitals that it's possible to go and have a look at. So yeah, in 2020, we produced 4 of these reports. It was nitrous oxide destruction, geothermal energy, lighting, ventilation, and now the first for 2021 is energy production. And there will be 2 more this year. And then next big that is coming up is worldsgreenesthospital.org. That's where we're building a virtual hospital that will be the most sustainable in the world. There are examples of technology that are represented in the Nordic hospitals, and you can then click through these icons to find the different solutions from companies and with references to Nordic hospitals. So it will be launched during the summer. So the platform is ready, but we're just filling it up with interesting technologies right now. And what's coming up is 24th of August, we have training in sustainable healthcare for all the members that are members in Nordic Center for Sustainable Healthcare. 21st of September, we have the 6th number of the report, which will be about district heating. 28th of September, we'll have a delegation to Warsaw in Poland, if it's allowed to travel. There is a lot of things happening right now, and we have a pilot project going on at a Polish hospital that we will meet up with Polish hospital directors. And in October, we'll have a workshop with an Indian partner to look into India as a market as well. And in March, hopefully, we'll have a delegation to India. 7th of April, we'll have a delegation to Toronto in Canada. So this is a little bit about what is coming next for the next year. And there will be more activities coming up coming weeks and so. And by that, I would like to thank you for participating in this webinar, and I'm giving you back to Sofia. Thank you.
Okay, I'm jumping in again. Thank you very much, Johannes, for that introduction of the project we're working on and that this report series and webinar is a part of. I think it's time to introduce our first speaker, so we'll get back to the program. As you can see, we have 4 more competent and very interesting speakers here today. And the first one out is Cynthia Jonströmer from Megawatt Solutions. So Cynthia, we'll just simply leave the screen to you. And as I said before, if you have any questions, please write them in the chat. Thank you.
It's a great honor to be here today discussing the renewable energy usage and production in hospitals and in healthcare facilities with our distinguished colleagues. Inspired by world experts like Václav Smil and the thought leaders in renewable energy like Bill Gates, I would like to start this discussion from a broader perspective than going into details of renewable energy production. Energy is a very complex subject because it is the fundamental building blocks of our civilization, from the food we eat, the clothes we wear, the miles we travel, the education we receive, the health care system we enjoy, and the buildings we dwell. We have abundant energy on Earth. However, we need to rationalize the usage of energy, and we need to consider energy in its entirety, from production to consumption. The energy required to produce material is often being overlooked. For example, the production of 1 ton cement requires 1.4 megawatt hours of energy. 1 ton iron requires 5.6 to 7 megawatt of energy. 1 ton of glass requires 5 to 9.7 megawatt of energy. And to produce electronic grade silicon used for solar panels and mobile devices requires an astonishing 2.11 to 2.16 gigawatt hours of energy, nearly 400 times more than the iron production. The more high-tech the materials are, the more energy needed to produce them. The dependency on high energy density material, such as steel, cement, glass, silicon, will constantly increase due to global development. And in fact, every year, human civilization has been putting more CO2 in our atmosphere. There's no year has any deduction. In the 1990s, 90% of the global primary energy supply came from fossil fuels. In 2020, after 30 years of passionate pursuit and trillions of dollars investments into renewables, we only reached 3% reduction. 87% of the global primary energy supply still came from fossil fuel. Despite the enormous effort during the COVID recovery period in 2021, the global carbon emission reached its second highest rate in history, repeating a similar surge of emission after the financial crisis in 2008. The reasons? We are a fossil fuel civilization. We shall remain so for a long foreseeable future. This is because energy transitions take a great deal of time. The reason for this is because scale matters, and so does power density. Take hospital as an example. Hospitals serve hundreds or thousands of employees, patients, and visitors 24/7. The nature of hospitals demands stable energy supply and requires energy intense operations, such as MRI machines and other medical machines, high power lighting in operating room, high temperature disinfection, refrigeration, air filtration and air distribution, constant space thermal heating and cooling to keep regulated temperature, etc. Without getting into details of scientific studies, an average hospital uses 10 to 20 times more energy per square meter than any other type of commercial or residential buildings. Thus, improving hospitals' energy efficiency serves great importance in lower carbon footprint. On top of that, saving hospitals' operating costs would allow hospitals to purchase new equipment and better serve patients. Compared with other regions on our planet, the Nordic is regarded as an energy-rich region, enjoys abundant natural energy resources such as hydro, natural gas, geothermal energy, and forestry. However, every year our civilization has put more CO2 into the atmosphere. The increased global warming has caused extreme weather conditions, such as unprecedented drought in southern Europe and California, and flood in Asia, making many areas uninhabitable for humans and even worse for animals. To reduce carbon emissions require huge reduction in combustion fuels used for generating energy. Because of more than 50% energy used in hospital is used for HVAC, thermal space heating and cooling, and hot water supply, hospitals are excellent candidates for ground source heat pump geo-energy solutions. Energy transmission and storage has been the two greatest challenges in energy production and usage. The ground source heat pump stores thermal energy locally, solve the energy storage problem. If combined with renewable electricity from hydro, nuclear, solar, and wind, hospitals can become zero emission buildings, ZEB, by using GSHP, like ground source heat pump. Compare with solar and wind, ground source heat pump solution provides stable thermal supply 24/7. Biomass at the same time generate electricity and thermal heat, but due to low power density in wood, the energy efficiency is less than coal, meaning more trees have to be burned. The CO2 being absorbed in the tree roots would be immediately once when the tree being cut down. Thus, the big drawback of biomass regarding renewable. So I would like to take an example of geothermal technology from Megawatt Solution Nordic AB. This is a wholly owned subsidiary of Brinhard Energy AB. So the main energy product trademark as E-Box is a megawatt level prefabricated energy station in a standard 20-foot container using ground source heat pump solutions. We can satisfy up to 100% energy needs for large residential and commercial properties, and as well as hospitals and universities by providing heating, cooling, and hot water with carbon-free solutions. Megawatt Solution has collaborated with different universities such as KTH, the Swedish Royal Institute of Technology. We constantly strive to open up new avenues for designs and innovation, which would result to a drastic reduction of buildings' energy consumption and carbon emission. So our E-Box was designed based on the following functions, which I would explain in the following slides. 1, mission critical reliability. 2, megawatt capacity. 3, rationalization. 4, industrialization. 5, digitalization, and providing both heating and cooling. So if we talk about mission critical reliability, our E-Box has up to 99.6% uptime. This is rather unique in the heat pump industry. This ensures the stable district heating operation. So we achieve this by our unique patent pending legal design, modulated design. Each E-Box contains 4 to 6 our tailor designed heat pumps. Multiple E-Boxes can be connected together to form a large energy station used as district heating cluster. Such installation can be extended based on the further development of this area. If more buildings need to be built, more boxes can be added. Megawatt capacity. Our large capacity provides district heating using geo-energy solutions instead of traditional combustion-based heating solutions. Our Lego-based model often provides scalability of the system. More modules can be easily added later based on the customer's increased energy needs. Such design also provides flexibility as individual part can quickly be added or replaced. This is important for the maintenance and service of the energy station. For example, a compressor can be replaced within a matter of hours without shutting down the entire system. By doing so, we will be able to offer the mission critical operation, offering consistent, reliable energy supply without any interruption. Then we are now going to talk about rationalization. We have rationalized the traditional manual intense labor process and found new ways to drastically reduce installation time. The installation time from 18 months can be reduced to several weeks. So a traditional process could cause, during the installation period, could cause a lot of carbon emission. By rationalization of the process, we have drastically reduced the carbon emission even during the installation time. So industrialization, like the housing industry, most of our installations are now pre-manufactured in a Swedish factory where they are also tested and quality assured. This would ensure our plug-and-play feature for high quality, fast, and hazard-free, eco-friendly project implementation. And on top of that, we provide cooling in the summer and heating in the winter. Now we come to digitalization. So we connect all the sensors from our e-box energy systems, customers' IoT devices, and their building management system into our cloud-based SCADA system, supervisory control and data acquisition. So our open application programming interface facilitates easy connectivities to customers' existing energy IT system and building management systems. So real-time data is sent to authorized engineers and, for example, like hospital managers, and from anywhere at any time. So this means that the hospital could, the leaders and managers in the hospital could make data-driven decisions and prevent management and on preventive management instead of reactive management. This will avoid more operational mistakes, improving property financial performance, and also avoiding habitual wasteful behaviors. Our e-box is placed outdoor. So during the COVID pandemic, under very tough public health restrictions, our outdoor design has proven to be hugely beneficial, allowing our engineers to have free access to the energy station and has thus ensured continuous service in the customer properties. So another benefit of the outdoor design is it is free up to space for indoor for the building inside space itself, and also can be used as a charging station for electrical vehicles. So we have continued collaboration with KTH, and thus we provide the carbon-free hybrid GHP and PVT solution. So after we have done 4 years of geo-energy heating and cooling calculation, these are the figures we have shown. So first of all, the property is 100% coverage of completely 100% coverage by energy for space heating and cooling and hot water supply. And reduce the CO2 emission from 450 tons to 0 tons. And reduce energy consumption close to 2 gigawatt hours. And energy cost reduced for one single property was 1.2 million Swedish krona per annum. And we have 100% increase of the property value. So due to this fantastic energy performance, I'd say that the next generation of the collaboration between the geothermal energy, the GSHP solution together with PVT and solar could even create even more benefit. For example, reduce the borehole depth and decrease the borehole space while keeping a similar or even higher performance level, and add increased COOP due to the thermal gain from the PVT. The e-box electricity consumption is covered partially or fully by the electricity provided by solar panels, and we also have increased efficiency of the solar panel due to the circulation system by the HTF. So I would say there is a big step moving forward to renewable, and hospital is a great place for adopting the geothermal energy solution. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Cynthia, for your presentation. Like I said before, we have time for one quick question if anyone wants to ask something. Otherwise, we will have a look in the chat and you can write a question there anytime. And I think Cynthia will stay here for the whole webinar if I'm not wrong. So perhaps you can answer in the chat as well. So if there are no questions right now, I would like to move on to the next speaker, who is Anna Werner from Swedish Solar Energy. So Anna, welcome.
Hello, thank you. It was an interesting speech. I come from the Solar Energy Association of Sweden, and I'm going to talk about the use of solar energy in Sweden. But first, I want to show something that we do as a lobbying organization. We try to influence the politicians to implement European directives in the way we want them to. And when it comes to the directives on renewable energy and clean energy package and the Green Deal and all that, we have one issue that we are working very hard on right now. And it is, how should we in Sweden implement energy communities? The European Union has said that all member states have to implement energy communities, but they have not defined what they should look like. So what we suggest is that they are virtual communities. So we do not suggest that they can own a grid, for instance, like a physical community. Instead, we say it's a virtual community and it should be voluntary, and it should help lessen the bottlenecks in the grid, the electricity grid. So if you look at this picture, you see the voluntary members of an energy community. And our suggestion is that all parties that are below the same net station can be members. So you see these pink houses, they have chosen to become members in this voluntary energy community. Some of these pink houses, they have their own electricity production. They are prosumers, not just consumers like the one on the bottom left. And there is also a local solar park that has chosen to be part of this voluntary energy community. This is something we work very hard to get through in Sweden. And we think, because the European Union has said that when you implement this energy communities in the member states, you must make sure that the rules, the laws, do not inhibit these energy communities. Instead, they should, of course, give incentive to production and consumption within the energy community. So what we suggest is that if you are a member of an energy community and you use the energy produced in this community, you should pay less energy tax on your self-consumption, or less energy tax on the electricity you buy within your own energy community. And also you should pay a lower grid fee, because you don't really use the electrical net so much. as you can see, it doesn't go over. The electricity that is consumed within the energy community does not use a big part of the net, does not go over this net station. So this is the business I am in. It's very much an installation business, and it's a very busy business right now because we are putting up a lot of solar installations in Sweden. We are somewhat behind the rest of Europe and also the rest of the world, because in Europe we have a 4% solar electricity. In Sweden we don't even have 1% yet, but now we have our boom a little bit later than Germany and Holland, the Netherlands and other countries in Europe. You also see Swedish invention here at the back, which is a tent, sorry, with the solar cells that can be used in refugee camps, so for electricity and shelter. I am the CEO of this very small organization. We are only 3 people working at the Solar Energy Association of Sweden, but we're growing fast, just like the industry. And we have 260 member companies. Many of them are installation companies or wholesales companies selling electronical components or importing electronical components such as chargers or solar cells and so. But we also have member companies who are researchers or just electricity trading companies and even some grid companies. This Absolicon at the bottom of the page is a Swedish company that produces factories that make solar collectors. Quite impressive. As you can see, there are some wind companies that are like Ox2 who are going into solar, and also some foreign companies such as Solar Edge, which is an Israeli company, or European Energy, which is a big Danish project developer when it comes to big solar parks. Our vision is that solar energy has a significant role to play in the sustainable energy supply in Sweden. And our vision is also that Swedish companies are among the leaders in Europe within the industry. Just to connect to the subject, the topic of today, I want to tell you that we have something called the Solar Energy Prize of Sweden. And 6 years ago, the real estate owner Lockum, who has all the hospital and healthcare buildings in Stockholm area, they won this prize. And this is the jury's motivation. Stockholm County Council has set a high goal of a total of 20,000 square meters of solar cells. This was a lot 6 years ago, installed on hospital properties around Stockholm. During the year, the county council's real estate company Lockum installed and commissioned photovoltaic systems at Karolinska University Hospital, Södertälje Hospital, and Danderyd Hospital as part of the decision to have a renewable energy production close to the property. So we saw a few examples of solar installations in the south of the country, but also in the middle of the country where we have the capital, we have a strong solar boom right now. We have a peak effect installed in Sweden of 1.1 gigawatt and approximately 66,000 installations. And most of these are very small residential installations. And it is all politics because they don't pay tax on their self-consumption and so it's more privileged to have a small installation. However, there are very large rooftop installation, and this one at Hisingen in Gothenburg on a logistics center just stood ready last year, and it won the Solar Energy Prize this year for an impressive installation. As you can see, Sweden is a very long, extended country, and that makes it very much more interesting, and it goes from the north to the south, the geography of our country. So it's very much popular to install solar cells in the south. Here you can see the installed solar peak effect in the 21 Swedish regions in megawatts. And as you can see, it differs a lot. You also see that the 3 counties with the most installed solar effect power is Stockholm, Scania, and Västra Götaland. In Scania you have the Malmö area, and in Västra Götaland you have the Gothenburg area. So these are the 3 main city areas, but also very densely populated areas with the neighborhoods with a lot of people living in the south, but also good insulation, of course, in the south of Sweden. So we both have a high electricity need in the south because it's densely populated, and also good conditions for solar. And here you see the number of installations, and it's also very high in the same three regions where you have a lot of people and good insulation, whereas in the north of Sweden there's hardly any installations at all. Norrbotten and Västerbotten, they're coming. This is another park, and here you can see the characteristic red huts or houses on the Swedish countryside with a very famous red color called Falu, copper color, which comes from an area where you have a lot of copper in the ground, and we've had a big copper industry in Sweden, and also iron. This is a very small idyllic park and you see cattle, or no, it's sheep grazing in the park, and it is very much like that. When you set up a park, you always make sure you have grazing animals. So you use the grass well, because under the panels you get a lot of some shade, and then the grass grows, gets more minerals, and it grows slower, so it's very good for grazing, even better than when there are no panels. I just want to show you a map, and I had to put the country a little bit down like this so I could fit it into the page. But as you can see, the largest solar park is in the Stockholm area, in the Mälardalen area, heavily populated area, around the 3rd largest of the 96,000 lakes in Sweden, called Lake Mälaren. So Stockholm is really built on this very strategic spot between Lake Mälaren and the Baltic Sea that we have to the right in the picture. And Strängnäs is one of these small, today small, but towns where you have this the largest solar park in Sweden, 14 megawatts. It was connected to the grid last year, just like the 2nd largest in Linköping, which is a university town south of Stockholm. And then the 3 coming parks, or they are a few years older, but as you see, they are much smaller than the 2 new ones. They are less than 6 megawatts, so less than half the size of the Linköping one and the Strängnäs one that were inaugurated last year. But we also have some large rooftop installations now, and the largest one is in Borås. It is ready this year, and the one I showed you a picture of on Hisingen in Gothenburg is 3 megawatts, stood ready last year. And then there's another one in Heby, 1.5 megawatts. So these are all the parks that are above 1.5 megawatts, which is an important number, because when you have a park that is larger than, or an installation larger than 1.5 megawatts, then you have to pay a higher grid fee than if you have a smaller park. So there again, you have politics pushing towards smaller installations. I just want to show that this year, 2021, is a very strong year for solar in Sweden. We have statistics now for the 5 first months, And as you can see, the yellow staples are just, at least for March, April, and May, are much higher than the staples for the last and the second to last year. And this is the number of installations. So it's a busy industry with a lot of people working, a lot of local works, actually, local jobs. And the same figures are shown in this graph. And here I show them year by year. And as you can see, the 2021 curve is bending upward quite a bit. And it's right now we have 29, if you look at the 5 first months of this year, we have 29% more installations than last year. And if this trend continues, and if it's a linear development, we will have 34,000 installations made this year. It's a very cyclical business, of course. A lot of things are cyclical in Sweden when you have to be outdoors for installation. So you can see there are quite a difference between the winter and summer figures of the number of installations. In conclusion, we had 66,000 installations last turn of the year, and the prognosis is that we will have 34,000 new installations this year, so giving us 100,000 solar installations by the end of this year. And that's an increase of the number of installations with more than 50% in just 1 year. But I see I misspelled speed, it should be 2E, but the installation speed is increasing with 54% because we installed 22,000 installations last year and we do 34,000 this year. And I want to teach you a Swedish word called tack, which means thank you. So thanks for having me, and feel free to ask questions in the chat.
Thank you very much, Anna. A very interesting presentation. I can see that we have a question in chat from David Brasfield, but we actually need to move on in the program. So is it okay if you answer him in the chat instead?
Absolutely, I will do that.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay, so we'll jump on to our next speaker, who is Tomas Hallberg from the Swedish Wind Energy Association. Welcome, Tomas.
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. My name is Tomas Hallberg. I work with the Swedish Wind Energy Association. We are a trade organization for companies who work with wind power. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the wind power in Sweden. And then I'm going to in the end, I'm going to talk about PPAs, which is power purchase agreements, which I think can be interesting for healthcare units and hospitals, not only in Sweden, but also all over Europe, I guess. In Sweden, we base most of the things that we are working with are based on a political agreement on that our power system will be, the keywords are sustainability, competitiveness, and security of supply. The targets is that Sweden will have a 100% renewable electricity system by 2040, and by 2045 we will have no net emissions of greenhouse gases. So it's quite high and ambitious targets, I suppose. But it's there are also other drivers. Sweden has an electricity consumption of 135 terawatt hours per year. 100 terawatt hours is expected to be phased out due to old age in the period in the coming 20 years. We also see that industry and transportation are going into a phase of very fast electrification. So we estimate that the electricity consumption in Sweden will rise from today's 135 terawatt hours up to 310 terawatt hours. This means that we look forward to meet a huge demand for renewable energy. Of course, need for more wind power, but also, Anna, need for more solar power, need for all electricity that can meet our keywords: sustainability, competitiveness, and security of supply. When it comes to wind power, we had an extremely fast expansion during the last years. The red line in the bottom is number of wind turbines. The green line is installed capacity. And when those two lines goes apart, that means that the turbines are getting bigger. The blue line shows annual production. And when the blue line leaves the green line, it means that the wind turbines are getting more effective. So we are heading forward. In just a couple of years, we will get close to 50 terawatt hours of wind power, which should then mean something like 30% of the electricity in Sweden. We are talking about the Wind Power Billion program in Sweden. For the period of 2017 up to 2024, and 2024 is as far as we can see right now, because that's where what we've noticed, that buyers have signed turbine contracts. So we are quite sure that during this period, we will add 33 terawatt hours of wind power. That means that we're going to build over 2,300 wind turbines with a capacity for over 11,000 megawatts. And it's also investments about 110 billion Swedish crowns, which is approximately 11 billion euros. So it's many wind turbines, lots of terawatt hours, and lots of money. This exceptional growth also will change the electricity market. There's lots of foreign owners that step in and buys wind power in Sweden. And those who are most active are funds such as pension funds, it's insurance companies, and others who are not actually into the energy business, but they sit on a lot of money that they need to invest in something. Also, wind power companies take a fair share, but the traditional power companies, they will only stand for about 10% of the wind power in Sweden in 2024. And that's because they have higher expectations on return on investments than the pension funds and the insurance companies. How is that possible? How can they live with such low return? Well, it's about risks. They need to control the risks. And PPAs, power purchase agreement, it's a way to control the electricity price risk. It's actually divided between the buyers of and sellers of electricity. And without PPAs, we would not have seen this fast growth of wind power. And I also know that the PPAs are quite often used when it comes to larger solar parks. An important part of the PPAs is it's not only the electricity, it's also the guarantees of origin. And the guarantees of origin is almost the only way for the buyer to show in their sustainability report that they are buying renewable energy. So this is a big part of the PPAs. And the PPA was, it started out as a CSR initiative with companies being worried about sustainability. But now it's a combination of CSR and financials. And that's where I would like to stop and stop sharing. And then I think.
Yes, you've stopped sharing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
But I could. I would like to continue just a minute if I have still time.
Yeah.
In my view, hospitals are large consumers of electricity. And if the owners of the hospitals are not into the electricity business or power business, it could be a way to, instead of investing in wind power or solar power with their own money and with a small return, it could be another way is to sign a PPA contract on solar power or wind power and minimize the risk, still have a very low electricity price, but use the financial space that they have for other investments, which are probably closer to what they do. So that's my take. If anyone would like a free advice, think an extra time and check out if you can sign a PPA on solar power or wind power in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tomas, for your point of view. If we have any questions, I think, can you put the link to info on the kind of BPA contract in the chat, Tomas?
I guess that you will send out the slides.
Yeah, I can do that,
yeah.
Of course.
And there are links to different information in my slides. Unfortunately, mostly in Swedish, and I also would like to excuse my poor English. I took my last English class in the spring of 1980. I'm a bit rusty.
I think it went very well.
It went well, Thomas.
Yeah, it was great.
Thank you.
Very interesting presentation. Thank you very much, Tomas. So yeah, it's time for our next and actually the last speaker of today, Jonas Jonsson from Stella Futura. And please keep the discussion going in the chat. Everyone who has a question or wants to say something. Jonas, welcome to share your screen.
Well, thank you very much. And Thomas, as you say, I will continue from where you stopped. Stella Futura first. It's a pretty young Swedish impact energy company. It's a female-owned, and the name Stella comes actually from using the solar energy, the Stella, the star that we have, and commit us to employ and engage young, talented people. And we actually started off in Africa, where we are electrifying hospitals through PPAs, exactly as Thomas described before. One of the investor network behind us is the ones who's created Scottish Solar, but now is investing in solar energy. So they are quite experienced in the African market with PPAs. So our mission is really to bring safe and reliable energy to everyone. And the green financing is really key to do this. So our innovation job lies 95% within the financing part of how to blend new types of investment channels and put them together into I would say cheap, reliable, accessible for energy, green energy and transformation. So we are based in Stockholm. We have a small office in Borlänge. We have an office in Germany. We are also located in Accra, Ghana. Accra is like Africa for beginners. It's a very, very healthy environment for establishing your company. It also, we need to establish our company there with local employees and local ownership. So we have two females that is partly owning the company Stella Futura Limited in Ghana. We are also having large construction companies in Africa who transform from the diesel generators into energy, and the companies working with UN, UNICEF, refugee camps, etc. And we are their main supplier of solar energy, energy storage applications. And we don't invent our own technology. The invention is the mix and the blend and how to make this accessible wherever we are. Stella was actually started off in Sweden last year by winning a large tender from Siemens. I will come to that case. It's how you produce green hydrogen from solar park and storage technology on and off grid. So the technology we are doing and bringing to Sweden now, which is some of the cases I will show, is new for the market, but exceptionally adjusted for wind and solar parks, for example. So the technology is there, the solar is there, the wind is there, the batteries, the battery systems, and also our own data logging, monitoring, and impact report system that actually support the financiers with the right data of what type of sustainable development goals they have achieved for the money, which gives us very low interest rate and very low cost for the funding that will be driving our expansion through energy as a service, like the top thing here, through PPAs and hire purchase agreements. So the clients we can see is hydropower utility companies that has hydropower station, wind power, solar powers, wherever we are. We have those companies in Sweden. We also have them in the sub-Saharan Africa region. Today we will announce that the Swedish largest farm of milk farm has the largest installation of solar and battery, which is announced later on this afternoon. It's outside Norrköping, and they are completely running their whole operations on without having to buy any energy at all from the grid. They are grid connected, but they don't have to do that. We are also focusing on going for the industry that has a lot of fossil fuel, even here in Europe, like stone crushing sites. All the vessels that comes to harbors going lying there on the daytime on their diesel gensets could disconnect and go to our applications to be running from a solar park into a battery container and then be helping the world for a greener and better place. And of course, hospitals, suitable applications for green, safe, reliable, stable energy support 24/7. And in Africa, we have contracts with over 390 hospitals in the sub-Saharan region in Ghana, in the Benin, Togo, and also Nigeria. These are now the first 8 hospitals is installed, and they are running on solar and battery systems. We are very much into a sustainable development phase ourselves. We've tried to avoid finding all the components from big companies and big countries like in China or India, so on. So we try to find a good blend of where you manufacture your components. If it's locally manufactured, locally in local components. So these this is European stuff that could be brought around in containers, moved with sites that is actually going for weeks or months, and then have to move instead of having ground-mounted solar parks, for example. This is one is portable. And for the battery storage systems, these are the #1 leading energy storage system. It's in thousands of applications in Germany. It has been going on for quite a while. These are the safest technology you can bring. It's also possible to bring into stables, into where you have kettles. It's not allowed in Sweden, but it's allowed in other countries. These ones don't catch fire or so on. These are very, very safe and reliable. It's a safety aspect that we bring into the people and the technology we're using. So it's also the most dense battery storage system you can get. So if you have limited space, like BRF, bostadsrättsföreningar or similar, then you maybe need smaller cabinets, or in a wind power tower, and then you maybe need to stock them on top of each other inside, and then you can use this. And the big one to the right is a storage in a containerized, so that it can fit up to 5 megawatt of energy storage into one 45-liter container. And we have several of those applications ordered now in Sweden. Utility company who wants to grid tie these ones or tie them to solar parks or wind parks. One of the most important things is that now we can bring technology that has 8,000 times life cycles of 8,000 cycles, which is 22 years if you do it recharge and discharge once a day. Many of the different technologies you go in for batteries are quite expensive, and that's where we can find that a lot of studies that has been done before now, this last 3-4 months, has wrong numbers in the calculations. Here you can see the technology that Tesla is using, for example, the round battery cells. We are not using them at all, and they are quite expensive per kilowatt hour. Meanwhile, we can press the price for kilowatt hour down to 50 Swedish öre or 0.05 euro cent. Very low, and it makes it very feasible, the business models you can create from this. Safety is a very important thing when you go for storage. I'm not talking about solar here now and wind, because you've already been doing that, but this is the very good additional value into what we see in countries that is very developed from energy, solar energy and wind power, that you have to use storage into the whole energy system to make it work. It's mandatory in Germany to have 40% of a solar park needs to be additional for energy storage. We will see that in Sweden as well within a couple of years. We see that in Vietnam, we see that in California, and so on. But here is a very important thing when you hire you rent or you want to buy a battery, we can provide all these services. Then you want the warranty conditions to be long. So we can give you warranty conditions up to 20 years for these batteries. So here's an example. It's a dairy farm in Sweden, mjölkfarm. They want to stabilize the grid for the grid owner, weak grid out in the country yard. I want to lower the energy cost, increase self-consumption, and possible to go off grid as well. So we have installed solar PV and a battery system. So the whole night could be run through the battery, either on cheap bought energy the right time of the day or from solar only. So the past weeks, it hasn't been any purchase, whatsoever from the grid. They have only sold back to the grid and are self-consumption. And I can tell you that the saving per year is about 32,000 euro, and the ROI for any investor is 7.2%. In this case, it's a very cheap, good bank financed solution. And I will show you exact the same figure if you go for a hospital in Africa or a hospital wherever you are, the same size, the same type of battery, doing the same kind of things. But there you can see that the savings are 75,000 euro compared to 32,000 when we are in Sweden, because we have cheap energy. So the ROI is a lot higher and the payback time is of course a lot lower. But it wouldn't be that if we can't provide these hospitals with cheap energy, cheap financing solution, and stabilizing and helping them to be a trustworthy off-taker. So everything is just falling apart when technology is here, everything is available, billions and billions and trillions of dollars for investment, but these poor hospitals can't make the proper due diligence that is put up by the pension funds and the Nordic or the German or the Chinese investment funds that is required normally a 3-year audit report by Ernst & Young, even for a hospital out in the country yard in Ghana. So we are helping them to pass those tests and get accessible cheap funding, which is a success already. Moving to Germany, here is an installation with the same type of technology, very high performance. You have a 2 megawatt battery that could do fast charging. The Europe's largest fast charging station is in Germany. It's 60 fast chargers of 250 kilowatt each. But some of them are Tesla chargers and some of them are the Dutch company Fastned. The performance needed from a battery is we're only able to provide from the ones we are now bringing to the Swedish market. So they are containerized and can support fast charging. Could also be for fast charging in any city where they have buses, etc. We are now developing for 5 cities in Sweden, different fast charging stations for the local transportation systems. This is an industry which about 700 of these in Sweden. There is about 27,000 of these in Germany only going on diesel. So here we can get a lot of savings, electrifying stone crushing sites among other. There's not so much battery capacity needed. It's just to be able to handle the peaks, for example, which is the same type of technology used for fast charging or for any kind of these applications. Jämtkraft in Sweden has recently been on a big global tender, and Stella Futura won the tender by upgrading a hydropower plant. So the hydropower plant is also from an environmental aspect, that the water levels are so much up and down, so it really affects the environmental. Bringing a battery into it will solve these kind of issues, beside the interesting market that comes up for the Nordics now, the FCR and the FCRD and FFR. Of course, we don't have time to go through everything on this, but this is very interesting revenue streams coming in for this utility company who wants to upgrade these type of solutions. One of the global's most interesting project ongoing right now is in Finspång. Stella won a global tender also with a battery system. It's a zero emission hydrogen turbine center where you actually have a solar park that we built this winter. It's a battery system that will work on and off grid. It will handle frequencies between 45 hertz up to 54 hertz. So from 45 to 54 hertz, which is absolutely unheard of when it comes to battery systems that can handle those frequencies. So we're bringing it in now, and this will be used for a lot of the special applications where wind power could produce green hydrogen locally, where battery is needed to handle the big frequencies that will occur when you do that kind of thing, which I will believe is really the future, and it's already here now. This one is a lot of people is familiar with this. Here is the battery system also supporting exactly this thing that the solar park is producing green hydrogen, where you can charge cars in this case, but you need a battery system like a pacemaker to make it happen. Moving to Africa, we are focusing on industries and industry applications where big solar park is, this is similar as for the one you mentioned, Anna, in Hisingen. There is another one we are doing right now of 22 megawatt on a big factory in Ghana, where they will use solar and battery in a combination to transform from green energy to this. Everything is monitored and backlogged to the investors through a safe and very much tailor-made report system. So any pension fund or bank could get the right data back to the end investors and to report what kind of impact they've done. For hospitals, for example, we can log how much blood banks or how much vaccines that is saved from green energy instead of having to be thrown away due to blackouts and similar things. The impact is really here. This is some of the last slides. Stella has introduced a program in Africa where we have Women on the Roof, which is every installation is will be at least 30% young female engineers. And these young female engineers will be awarded the long-term operation and maintenance agreement. So it's another 20 years of secured business for them. We have trained them also in how you run businesses and how you can extend your knowledge within renewable energy to become an installer or become an electrical engineer and designer, for example. And this program is kicking off now, and all our clients that buying energy from us or support services from us are actually directly or indirectly contributing to this movement, I would say, young tech people. So that's why we are called also Stella Futura. So thank you very much.
Great. Thank you very much, Jonas, for your presentation. If we have any questions, we can take them now or write them in the chat. We have a couple of minutes left of the webinar. I will just share my screen very short again and show you our calendar again that my colleague Johannes showed you. But okay, we'll jump a little bit to this slide. Like my colleague Johannes said before, we are working on a project now. It's a website called worldsgreenesthospital.org. This will work as a model, or I guess you could say a digital catalog of sustainable solutions for healthcare. And as you can see to the left, we have different categories. And under these different categories, we will showcase some sustainable solutions. And we will send out an invitation to all of our members this week. And we will also write about this in our newsletter. So I would recommend you all to subscribe to our newsletter if you want to know more about this, or you can also contact us for more information. So we will have a short break during summer, but we're back on the 24th of August with our training in sustainable healthcare. This will be held in English and will also be online. The next chapter in the Nordic Know-How report series will be released in September, and this time the topic will be on district heating in healthcare. If you're interested in this or have a great solution or know a good solution or a good example in the Nordics that we should bring up, please don't hesitate to contact us. And then we have some other activities in the fall that we will also write more about on the website. So I would like to say thank you to everyone for joining in today. I can see we have something written in the chat. Can we have a copy of the recorded session? The entire webinar will be uploaded on our YouTube channel. And if you search for, I will write it in the chat, but Nordic Center for Sustainable Healthcare on YouTube, then you will find all our videos for sustainable healthcare. So search for that on YouTube, and I think this webinar will be up sometime during next week. I think we will also include that in our newsletter. So if anyone has a question or some last thing to say, feel free. Otherwise, I would like to thank everyone for joining in today, and a special thanks, of course, to our speakers for their interesting presentations. And someone asked for the presentation, so if you want, please send your presentations to me and I will send it out to everyone who participated today. And we'll see you after summer, I guess. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.